Hi, I'm Andrea. I am the CEO and the lead project manager of WPSesame.com. We are a WordPress website development and inbound marketing agency. And today I want to talk about how to get the most use out of one of my all-time favorite online tools, which is the website unsplash.com. That's the website that we're looking at right now. Unsplash.com is a comprehensive repository of free stock images. One of the best things about unsplash.com is that all of the images that you're found on their repository are submitted with Creative Commons Zero license. And what that means is that you can use it for any purpose that you want, whether it be commercial or personal or whatever it is that you'd like. That's a really great feature because a lot of free stock image repositories allow the photographers that submit their images to toggle and to tweak and to basically set their own terms, which is great, but it really can be a little bit of a challenge for the average user to figure out what they have the right to use images for and what they don't, and how the photographer finds it acceptable for you to use their work. Unsplash takes the guesswork out of all of that. Every photo that you find on Unsplash's repository, you can use however that you like. And they actually have a minor explanation of that on the homepage here. And in addition to the explanation of the license, they also have a nice little inspiration gallery called Made with Unsplash. And you can see here all of the different, not all, but a lot of the different materials that users have submitted that they have made with images found on Unsplash. You can find some websites, videos, articles. So this is like a nice source of inspiration as well as an example of how diverse their images can be. So yeah, Creative Commons Zero means that you can use them for your business as well as for personal use. You can use them in anything, websites, business cards, flyers, whatever you want, social media, whatever you want. That is definitely one of the upsides of Unsplash. Another pro is that they are constantly getting new materials, right? So here you see that say 10 new photos every day, every 10 days. So every 10 days, they get 10 new images. They are all very high resolution and they list them on their homepage here. These are they're listed in order of the most recently added. So this is the most recently added photo and these are basically the last 10 days have been submitted, these last 10 photos. And you can actually subscribe to get a notification when they add new stuff. Now, if you're like me, though, I visit Unsplash almost every day for my clients, so I found it a little bit redundant. I ended up unsubscribing, but if you're a person who only intermittently needs to use free stock images, then it might benefit you to subscribe to their newsletter and check out what they have every 10 days. So they get about 30 new images per month, which is a nice, robust number. They have a few thousand images as far as I know. That's one of their other pros. Another thing that I really like about Unsplash images is that they tend to be very on trend. I don't know if it's, they have, because of the open source nature of their format or their platform, they've just attracted a lot of people that are very modern in their style. This is, if you search here on weddings, you can see that very on trend images, a lot of very modern looking, very clean. There's a lot of diversity in their images. You can find all different kinds of people. You can find a lot of younger skewing individuals. But the important thing is that you can find a lot of people. And I know this is a funny thing to say, but the thing is that a lot of people aren't aware of is that when you are a commercial photographer, which a lot of these are taken by commercial professional photographers, or even if they're amateur hobbyists, when you submit photos of people for potential commercial use, you actually have to get the permission. You have to get a written consent form. And so a lot of times when you visit free stock image libraries, you will find pictures of people, like even if you search for like baby or woman or what have you, you'll find photos that are related to the subject, like a baby rattle, but you won't find pictures of actual babies. So like it's hard to find free, really high quality images of people. Unsplash actually does not have that problem. It has a lot of different kinds of photos of people from all over the world. So that's one really nice thing. And another thing that I really like about Unsplash is that because it is very popular with the tech sector in particular and with startups is that a lot of technology featured in their photos, unless it's purposely retro like this one here in the corner, but it tends to be on the newer side. Like a lot of times if you go to freeimages.com, for example, which is admittedly one of my favorite repositories for stock images, freeimages.com has a lot of great like evergreen photos like tree and ball and cooking and kitchen and stuff. But if you look up iPhone or phone or TV, you get pictures of stuff that's like 10 years old. So it's like not old enough to be retro, but it's not really new enough to be able to be used on marketing materials if you're a technology company. That's not the case with Unsplash. As you can tell, they have iPhones, they have MacBook Airs, they have iPads, all kinds of like really, but some of them they're retro on purpose, like the retro phones or flip phones and things like that, or older cameras and things like that. But for the most part, the technology that you find featured in images on Unsplash are very, very new. That's nice. And another thing that I really liked, it's kind of in a similar vein, is that the workspaces that they feature tend to be very modern looking too. Like for example, if you search here for meetings, you will see conventional looking meeting spaces, boardrooms and things like that. But you'll also see like warehouses and some people having a meeting at a coffee shop. So some of the workspaces, like you look at desk or desktop or something like that, you'll see that, some of them are very conventional and some of them are obviously like work at home spaces, on wooden surfaces and things like that. So there's a lot of, it's very on trend. It's very nice, especially if your target market or the people that you're creating this material for is on either younger or tech savvy. That's very useful. However, Unsplash does tend to have a couple of downsides to it. One of the downsides that it has is that it's really popular with the tech sector and with startups, and particularly with the entrepreneur set and the younger under 35 crowd particular. And that's not a bad thing per se. It's just something for you to keep in mind, because a lot of these photos are images that you're going to find that pop up over and over and over again. I'm going to give you an example of a great photo that I have seen at minimum on 20 different websites in the last 6 months. And it's very immediately obvious. Why? Because it's the elements in the photography, in the photograph are really well placed. It's something that can be applicable to a lot of different industries. And it's just a nice photo that has some white space that can be used for text and what have you. And it's this one here. I have seen this so many times, it's not even funny. It's just this guy looking at this generic spreadsheet with some pie charts. I mean, this can be used for business, law, and I've seen it in all those scenarios. This is a very, very, very common image. And all I can say is that if you do work in the tech sector, if you do work in a startup industry, if you do work in an industry that caters to do-it-yourself entrepreneur crowds, or very, very young people, or the technology industry, then I would at the very least, check your competitor website before using any photo from Unsplash, because chances are that they know about Unsplash and they probably have used some images on there, and you probably don't want to have the exact same images as your competitors. Another way that you can check is when you enlarge the image itself, here in the corner, you're going to see stats. And it'll show you the statistics for this particular image. You can see that this has been downloaded almost 40,000 times. It's a lot. It's been viewed almost 2 million times. It's got hundreds of likes. It's one of the top 1,000 ranked. So this is, as I was saying, this is a very popular image. So you can kind of see, how overused the photo that you're looking, if that's going to be a concern. I wanted to get back to talking about the homepage, because unsplash.com is actually a very deceptively simple website. When you get to it, it's just this list of images, list format. You can only look at one at a time because they just list them in chronological order. One of the things that you can do is to see more rapidly at a glance is to click on this little grid button here, and you can browse thumbnails. And thumbnails have quite a lot of information on them if you hover over them. If you hover over any image, it tells you quite a lot about the image. It tells you how many times that image has been liked. You can add these to collections. I'm about to get to collections in a minute. collections are a very, very powerful way to organize images that you like on Unsplash. It also tells you the name of the photographer. A lot of these photographers, like I said, they're amateur hobbyists or they're professionals. So they actually, a lot of them have more than one image submitted to the repository. So if you find one, an image that really resonates with you, you can always right click and open to see if they have more. If you right click on their name, you can see all of the images that particular photographer has submitted to Unsplash. And you sort of see if something else they have there that you like. But yeah, I want to talk about collections. Collections are a great way to organize. It's one of the main benefits of creating a free account on Unsplash. There's not a whole lot. You can use any feature on Unsplash, virtually any feature, without registering it. You can also download anything without registering. They really wanted this website to be open and accessible to as many people as possible, so you don't have to register to get a lot of the usage out of it. But one of the great things about registering is you can create your own collection. So you can have save things for later. You can organize them by topic. So if, let's say you click on this little plus sign, you can add it to a collection. Let's just say you want to call it website project. Oops. My new websites photos. Now you can see here that you can either make your collection private so that you're the only person that can see it while logged in, or you can leave it public. I'm going to make it private because this is just an example. But I'll show you in a minute what happens if you make it public, because there are actually quite a lot of very useful public collections on Unsplash. But say we are going to add this and create a collection. We're going to add this photo. So now you can actually look into your collections, and you can actually see, go to your profile and you can see your collections. And you can have, again, images that you can organize by topic or project or however you like. And that's actually a really big benefit, just for the simple reason that these are very high resolution images, and they take up a lot of space on your hard drive or storage or Dropbox or whatever it is you're saving them on. So over time, if you're collecting these high-res images, and you can only download them in very high-resolution formats right for now, they're going to take up a lot of space over time, especially if you start collecting dozens and dozens and dozens of them. And collections are just a way to just organize them on Unsplash itself without taking up any storage space. So you click on your own profile, and you see here that I've kind of created this dummy profile here, but you can see I've created the collection here, and if you click on the collection, it'll show you in grid format all the images that you've added to it. So you can, again, organize this by project. You can organize this by theme. In fact, one good way to see how people use collections is to click on the collections tab in the navigation. You can see public collections that users have created themselves. And here, some of them have kind of generic titles, but as you can see, some of them they describe the theme of the photos, in this case, atmospheric or fashion. Or some of them get very specific, like Switzerland and outdoors and weddings. Floor perspectives, which is ants perspective, hiking adventures, people on the street, nature. So these all are a really good way to quickly have a nice overview of curated images on the site by different topics. So that's one side of it. Again, you do not have to register to use any of this, except that you do need to register to have collections, but that's not something you need to do. Another way to find images is through the search algorithm. The search algorithm is not the most sophisticated search algorithm that I have ever seen, but it is useful to some degree. As I understand it, again, I don't work for Unsplash, so I'm not privy to the details of their IT backend. But from what I understand, from what I can tell by looking at their homepage, that invites you to, if you look in the menu, it actually invites you to tag photos. You can see here registered users can actually tag photos themselves. And I think that's how things turn up in the search engine, in the search feature. So I think it goes by whatever users have tagged the photo with. So it kind of relies on human judgment to some degree. So if, like, let's say, for example, if we're looking here at this photo and it's been tagged mountain, green, brown, gray, and snow, but nobody tagged it nature, then it's possible that if you search for nature, that this particular image will not show up in the search results, even though it is a photo of nature. I've seen that happen a couple of times where I've searched for something and I'm like, what on earth is that image even doing under that search result? Or vice versa. Like I've seen photos that were like, wait, didn't I just look for that? And that photo didn't come up. So, it's not, I wouldn't say it's the most sophisticated search algorithm, but it is a good way to at least narrow down, some of the images that they have, because this is a pretty extensive collection. I did want to go over really quickly how to download images from Unsplash. Again, you do not have to be a registered user, but some of my clients have actually gotten stuck on this part. So again, so I'm actually want to use that specific example of the guy that I told you that has a very, very overused image. So here's the thing. It's like you have this little button here that says download in the corner, right? Then you click on it and it actually does not download the image. Now my particular tab opens it up this way, but if it happened to open it up in such a way that, for example, was full sized in your browser, this is what it looks like. So I've had some clients call me and be like, Andrea, I tried to download it and nothing happened. I just opened up a blank tab. Now, it's not that it's blank. It's just that a lot of these have a lot of white space in them. And when it opens up to full size in a separate browser, when you're expecting it to download, it looks like a blank page. It's actually just a high-res, the full-size version of a very high-res image. So it's a little bit on the misleading side. When you click on the download button in Unsplash, it actually doesn't download. It just opens it in a new tab. So then you just have to go through the extra step of right-clicking it and saving it however you want. So I did want to point that out because that has been a stumbling block for a couple of users. It's not the most intuitive process, but at least it does. I'll make that accessible to everyone, even if you're not a registered user. So pretty much that sums up Unsplash for me. It is an extremely powerful resource. It allows people to create very beautiful graphics and have very, very modern looking stock images, makes it very accessible to pretty much anybody on the internet. And hopefully you've gotten a lot out of this. And hopefully you can make some use out of this for your own business and your own marketing materials. I would love to hear if I missed any of your favorite tips or tricks for Unsplash or any of your other favorite free stock image repositories. And hopefully that this is something you get a lot out of. And if you want to see some of the sites that we've created using some of these images, you can look at my portfolio at wpsesame.com. Thank you for your time.